I want to apologise in advance for the quality of this video and the audio. It might be pretty crap, but I wanted to talk a little bit today about facial hair pre-T. How I got my facial hair was using something called minoxidil. It's basically a foam. Well, you can get it in either an oil or a foam, but I bought Rogaine, which is a foam in a can, and it contains 5% minoxidil, and it stimulates hair follicles, so it stimulates hair growth. So this stuff can be quite expensive. One tin in Asda was like £30, but I got 3 tins for £45 on eBay. Usually I'm really impatient with things like this, and I would have just gone out and bought that 1 tin for 30 quid, but I was like, I really don't want to waste the money on it in case it just doesn't work. So you get 73ml. That should last around a month. That should be a month's supply, that's what it does say, but this lasts me about 2.5 months, which is really, really good. This is my second one. I've just opened about 3 or 4 days ago, and it says when you use it, you basically fill up half the cap and put it onto your face, either using gloves or your hands and washing your hands afterwards. I just do it with my hands and wash my hands afterwards because gloves is just faff. It says fill half the cap, but I find that was too much, so I decided to just do 1/4 of the cap, and that seemed to be a decent amount. Sometimes I have a little bit left over because it comes out quite fast when you squeeze the button, so it's actually doing it at a speed and getting to know how much you need and how quick you should do it. It takes a little bit of practice. So there was quite a bit of waste with my first can, so it probably would have lasted me even longer. The facial hair, when it came through, it started to come through quite dark and long. When it started to get a bit longer, it was still coming through quite white and fluffy. And I had longer sideburns and a little bit coming through here, and it was really short around the rest of it. So I just kept growing it out and trimming it at the same length all over with a trimmer. So it looked a little bit more tidy rather than really long sideburns, and it was just trying to get it to match the length of my hair here, trying to get it to fade in a little bit. I can do that with the trimmer really easily. For darkening the hair, to do that I used something called eyebrow gel. Some people used mascara, which I thought was way too dark. If you've got black hair, fair enough, but it was like black and it didn't look quite right, so I went for eyebrow gel because that's like a natural hair colour, and I went for a dark brown one. I didn't get anything expensive. I got this for like a couple of quid from Asda. I bought quite a few different shades just to test out to see which matched my hair colour better. This one matched it better, so this is the one I tend to use. When using it as well, I don't use that because it gets really clumpy. I use one that I wash every time I use it. The bristles are a little bit more spread out. This is what I stole from one of my girlfriend's old eyebrow gel things. Again, medium brown, but I use that and wash it after every use so I don't get any massive clumps, which can cause like drawing lines and marks by accident. So when I do it against the hair. I found going with the hair didn't work very well, and you're more likely to draw lines on your face. So if you go up against the hair and then let it dry for a bit, so it will be a little bit messy, but if you let it dry, it will harden off a bit. And then I use one of these brushes. It's like I think they're called military brushes. It's just the Jack Dean one for quite a while. I used to use when my hair was a bit shorter, and literally just brush it down in the direction it should grow, and it will just brush out those clumps and neaten it up a bit. It's a really good thing to do. I definitely recommend it for any trans guys pre-T who are really want some facial hair, or trans guys who are on T and just can't seem to grow the hair. It's taking forever. I've got like a little bit of a bald patch here. Not anything really coming through, it's just coming through on the sides, and I feel a little bit like I'm in 1800s, but it will come through. I'm trying to put more on here and just keep it all trimmed the same size. It should come through eventually. Obviously do your research before you buy it. Some people might be allergic. I've never really been allergic to anything like cosmetics, so I've never had a problem, so I just sort of went ahead with it and thought, well, if anything goes wrong, it goes wrong, and I've learned from it and I can't do it in the future. Simple as that. But if you're worried, do some research. It's definitely worth a try. I feel so much better within myself. Finding a way to get the hair colour permanent is something that I'm looking into, because I've tried the Just for Men beard dye, and I've even just bought some cheap hair dye, but it just does not grip onto the hair. The hair just doesn't change colour at all. I think it's because the hairs might be too thin, they're probably too fluffy, but just doesn't seem to be doing anything. So if anyone has any tips on that, it'd be good, let me know. Yeah, give it a go, and I hope this video was useful to anyone. Thanks.